Hi, this is Karen at Snickerdoodle Designs. Today we're going to take a look at creating a custom text box in Photoshop using the pen tool. Adding a lot of journaling to a page can be difficult at times. If you have a long story to share, sometimes it can end up looking boxy like this one. It doesn't integrate well with the image on the page. But we scrap to share our lives and our stories. So today let's take a look at one way to make a long journaling piece a little bit more interesting. Maybe something more like this. Let's go ahead and turn that off and get started. The first thing we need to do is click on our element so that our text layer will be placed right above this in our panel. We can select the pen tool by either clicking on the pen in the toolbar or selecting the pen tool shortcut, the letter P. Up in the options bar, we want to make sure that path is selected. If it's not, just click on your down pointing arrow and choose path. I'd like to go ahead and click on the document right at the top of my tree here. Once I click on it, I can let my mouse go and I have set my first anchor point. Now to set my second anchor point, I'll come down, maybe an inch or so, left click, and this time I'm going to keep the mouse depressed. When I pull down, I will get these little handles. If I pull to the right, I'll get a left curve, and if I pull to the left, I'll get a right curve. If I pull the handles far out, I'll get a pretty strong curve, and if I keep them close to my anchor point, the curve is a little softer. So at this point, we need just to kind of manipulate these handles until we get kind of the curve that we want. When we're happy with it, just let the mouse go and move down and place your next anchor point. And you just continue doing that until you've gone all the way around the element that you would like to create your custom shape around. And I'll just kind of do this real quickly here. Say you don't like an anchor point that you have selected, and I'm not real happy with this one. I can right click on it to delete it, and then just click on it to add another one or to move the lines. If I click on it and keep it depressed, I'll get my anchor points I can pull out, and I think I like that a little better. So let's come back down to the bottom here, put another anchor point a little bit further down. Now I'd like to draw the straight line across the bottom. So if I hold and press Shift and click to the right, Photoshop will give me a nice straight line. Now I want to create the top right side. So click somewhere around the top. You can just kind of eyeball this. That looks pretty good. And now I'm going to come over to my very first anchor point, and all this time I'm still holding down Shift. When I get close to my first anchor point, a little circle comes to the right of the pen tool, and that is Photoshop's way of telling me I'm going to be closing this text box. Once I click on that anchor point, that little circle turns into an asterisk and it says you've closed the path. Now I want to make sure that this is fairly straight, so I'm going to pull a guideline down. I can grab it there, and actually that's pretty straight. Let's say it wasn't. If I hold down Control this time and I click on that first anchor point, now did you notice how these became open again? That means I can manipulate any of these anchor points. So if this was not straight, I could bring this up and make it a nice straight line. Once I'm happy with it, just release it and let's get rid of that guideline. Now the next thing we need to do is get ready to type our text. And I want this straight on the right side and I want it justified. So I will click on the paragraph to open my paragraph panel. If you don't have your paragraph panel docked like I do, you can come up to Window, paragraph, click on that and it will open for you. So what we want is, if you look at all the little lines, you can tell how it's going to be, how Photoshop is going to handle the text for you. So I want this justify last right, and that is the second icon from the left, and so I just click on that to accept that. Now if I'll click on my type tool, and if I hover anywhere over the document, I have the normal type tool, and if I come inside my shape, you see how that little rectangle or square around the text icon or tool changes to a circle, and that tells me I'm ready to type. I can type start anywhere, and Photoshop's going to start in the corner, but I'll just go ahead and click here, and I have a green text color selected and a 22-point font, and I will just start typing my text. I am not spacing like you would at the end of a line. I'm just typing, and I will just keep on typing until I have filled my text box with my text. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. And here is what I did before, so you wouldn't see me sit here typing for 3 minutes. You can see I actually followed fairly along the same line here. I can hit Control H to hide that. And if I know I'm not going to change it, I can just come over to the path and delete it. And I do want to delete that path. If you think you might want to change it, I would save it as a PSD document, and that will save that path for you so you can go back and alter it later. Once you have that all set up and you're happy with it, you can go ahead and add other elements to it and make a nice page. And here's one that I have finished off with that text. I added a few more elements. This is from my kit, Holiday Hoopla. I added a little mask, the white mask, and then I added a border around it as well. But as far as the text goes, that's all there is to it. It's pretty easy once you get used to pulling those handles, and my hint is just to take it real slow and give yourself a little bit of practice, and you should get it right away. Thanks for stopping by. Have fun playing with this technique, and I'll see you next week.